Okay. All right, here we go, everybody. Friday arrives. Yes. What is this? Oh, good. All right. We're going to be live in just 4 minutes. 4 minutes. Yep. Let's go. Who said Friday? Road Patrol tonight. Biden ran too late last night. And I did want to, admittedly, I did want to see everything that then took place with some of the coverage afterwards. So folks, remember, we're on the different platforms. Let me see who we see. There's Micah Hearn. This is, yes, the real news at noon. This is the real news at noon. Thank you. Look at that. Micah Hearn steps up, the big guy, throws down 500 stars. Let's go. Who's going to match him? There's Kurt Orla from Jacksonville today. Very nice. I've been to Jacksonville. I went to the Patriots Super Bowl in Jacksonville. It's come a long way. It's come a long way. Meaning Jacksonville, all of Florida. The growth is really remarkable. So now let me just double check. We like to check the different platforms. There I am. We are now live on X. And then we're also going to go to the YouTube channel. 3 minutes. 3 minutes to airtime. I believe we are live on. We are. Okay. There I am. Yes. There we go. Still getting there with the YouTube crowd, but I'm very confident about it. All right, folks. So 3 minutes out. 3 minutes out. Yep. On this Friday. Again, we will be doing Road Patrol tonight. And we'll be active all weekend, as we were last Saturday. There's Jane Rice. Hello to Buddy as well. You know, folks, you know what's amazing about, and I hope you guys appreciate, first of all, last night, I just had a feeling with Lincoln Woods. I'm so glad I didn't go to Lincoln Woods, because then the person that they were supposedly, that they were looking for ended up being in East Providence. Good. Yes, that's right. In East Providence. That's exactly right. Well said, Lon. But last week, for example, I had a full Saturday planned, and then it just got blown out because then we had the chase for the and I'm going to read about that story, by the way. The whole thing with Joe Francis. Suddenly, it just got blown out of the water. There's nothing. Listen, I totally get it. I mean, that's what we signed up for. So, okay. We are standing by. Isn't this exciting? Yes. My point is, you know, when doing this, especially on a weekend, at any moment, we just have to be ready to jump into action. We met the moment, by the way, just like President Biden. We'll talk about that. Purgatory. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed with the president. I hope Mike Degnan is watching. If someone could type in Mike Degnan's name. All right, we're just waiting for our cue. At 12:06 on this Friday, good afternoon, one and all. It is Friday. That's true. It's Friday, July 12th, and you're listening to the John DePetro Show. This is the Real News at Noon. I want to thank Micah Hearn. Big guy steps up. Boom. I like Real News at Noon. Those on Facebook, you have the ability, even if 250 stars means 250, 200, $2. He steps up. I like getting Real News at Noon. Boom. You have the ability to do that, and then it keeps everything rolling. Before we get into all of our news at noon, I did want to once again thank Miguel Degnan, Mike Degnan, Miguel, as I have known, who he is really one of the originators of Juan, and certainly one of the people that has been a big fan of it and encouraged it. I've had that nickname now. I don't even know how long it's been. I mean, it's been over 10 years, but I've been meaning to play this. This beautiful card arrived for me last month, and it's a birthday card from Miguel Degnan. Miguel, Anna, Muriel, that is exactly right. And also, and they have another one coming. They have another child coming. But thank you to Miguel Degnan. Beautiful birthday card. You're faithful for. I may play that from time to time as our sound, just to kind of break it up a little bit last night. So, all right, there we go. All right, folks, this portion of the program, and it is very significant. By the way, we do have an update on the situation in Exeter, in Hopkinton. It ended in the Hopkinton, Exeter, Richmond general area, but we do have an update on that, by the way. And I want to credit the Boston Globe that, as I expected, they would dig in. Amanda Milkovich is a good reporter. But folks, this portion of the program, the Real News at Noon on this Friday, July 12th, is brought to you by PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center, where they have locally sourced vegetables, sweet corn, native tomatoes. They're having a fantastic season. It's Rhode Island's #1 garden center, full-scale nursery. Service is great, quality, family run. Debbie and Steve and Junior, they do a great job. Stop in. Plus, they have everything available: annuals, perennials, trees, and shrubs. The service is excellent. The quality is the best. And they're located right off of Route 4, 3688 Quaker Lane in North Kingstown. It's PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. Hanging pots, moss baskets. Maybe you're going over to someone's home this weekend for a cookout. Why not, bring something nice, something they could plant. Large selection, beautiful patio pots. And their vegetable selection, though, is just phenomenal. Full-scale nursery gift certificates are available. They're open 7 days a week. It's PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. Now, we do have an update coming later today on DePetro.com, which is, once again, we've had a very busy week. If you check out the website, you will see the various stories, DePetro.com. Providence police arrested that Cranston Street shooter. We were on that story. First ones to break it yesterday. You can see that on the website, DePetro.com. We still have the shooter wanted for the Woonsocket shooting. We have the Providence police body cam video of the Vicksburg armed suspect arrest. We have everything on the Woonsocket police, Andrew Martin. They got him in custody. And then, of course, everything with Hopkinton, that horrific incident that happened. It started last Friday night, and then it obviously went into Saturday. And remember, folks, DePetro.com, which is brought to you by the Cohasset Inn, 226 Cohasset Avenue, West Warwick. Yeah, that's right. 226 Cohasset Avenue, West Warwick. Lunch, dinner, drinks in the lounge, and the market at Cohasset. They're waiting for you at the Cohasset Inn. Now, I will talk about President Biden, obviously. That was the big story last night. Still the big story. It continues to be the big story. I will touch on that. We're also going to give you the latest on the bridge, because that's very, very significant. I do want to, someone asked me about if they're going to have a gathering at their home and they don't want to have either themselves or their guests, bothered by mosquitoes and or ticks. And it's a bad season for it because of all the rain we've had. And they asked me, who do I recommend? The answer is Mosquito Joe of Rhode Island. That's who they treated my property. Fantastic. Remarkable. Look for them on Facebook. You know, I should give out their phone number, as a matter of fact. But Mosquito Joe of Rhode Island, they will get rid of all your mosquitoes and ticks, and then you sit out. And especially, listen, it has been a bad season, as I mentioned, because of all the rain. And if in fact, especially if you're going to have some people over, you don't want your guest basically eaten alive as they're outside at your home. So how to get rid of bugs for an outdoor wedding? Say I do to an itch-free wedding. Mosquito Joe of Rhode Island. You can call them. Look for them on Facebook. 401-426-2032. 426-2032, or online, rhodeisland.mosquitojoe.com. But they do tremendous work. Now, I do want to touch on, because of the situation that happened within Hopkinton. And like many of you, I have been a big supporter of Second Amendment and licensed firearm owner. But the story in the Globe is very troubling. Local police didn't want him to have guns. He was allowed to buy them anyway. Then he killed his wife and himself. Hopkinton police didn't want Joe Francis to be able to buy a gun. Twice they denied his application to buy firearms. He hadn't been convicted of a felony, so he could pass a national criminal background check. But a Rhode Island law passed in 2020 also requires local police chiefs do extensive background checks on residents who apply to buy firearms, and the Hopkinton police saw things that left them concerned. Francis had been arrested for disorderly conduct. He had threatened suicide. He drove erratically, causing an accident. When arrested, he threatened the officer, exposed himself, and urinated in the back of a cruiser. The Johnston police denied his request for a permit to carry a concealed weapon because he lied on his application. And he'd been charged with cyber harassment of a woman, a misdemeanor. After looking at the scope of his past contacts with the law enforcement agencies, Hopkinton Police Chief Mark Carrier, this is in the Boston Globe, told the Globe, "We saw a pattern with his character flaws, temper, and a mental health issue." Police denied his applications to buy guns in 2020 and 21, but he fought back and hired a lawyer, Frank Secocio, president lobbyist of the Rhode Island Second Amendment Coalition. Frank Secocio, I've had him on the program. He got the cyber stalking charge expunged, clearing the way for Francis to buy firearms. Without that charge, there was no legal standing for denying his applications as long as the questions on it were answered truthfully. His mental health could not prevent him from owning a gun unless he had been involuntarily committed or a court had determined he was a danger to himself or others. Town Solicitor Kevin McAllister advised nothing on his record would prohibit it, so he had to proceed with approval, said the police chief. McAllister has since retired, didn't want to respond. He started buying firearms, Joe Francis. Last weekend, he used one to kill his wife, Stephanie Francis, and then himself. Frank Secocio, of course, had no comment about the killing. See, I have a problem with that. You're the guy that helped him obtain them. The least you could do is offer a comment to the story. Defend your actions, Frank. Don't hide. Don't hide on this. Offer a comment. Just say, when I was dealing with him, I didn't find him to be dangerous. Something. I don't like he had no comment. No comment. They took away his application to get a gun. You got it back for him, Frank Secocio. Now those two children are going to have to grow up without parents. The police tried to prevent it less than 2 months ago. They seized 2 pistols and 16 illegally large capacity gun magazines from his home. 16. This guy just started buying firearms after he shoved his wife, smashed her cell phone in front of their 2 children. Where was Frank Secoshio then? Francis was aggressive, uncooperative, swearing at the police. I have the police report on DePietro.com. Reeked of alcohol, stormed away, stopped when they were going to tase him, smashed his cell phone, angry. His wife was looking to meet other men online. Gee, why would she want to meet someone else? He also admitted he had been on online dating sites for several years. Stephanie Francis told police they were in the process of getting divorced but still living together. He attacked her. She'd saved the report of an arrest for cyber harassment of another woman and was going to show it to the children, explaining why they were divorcing. Now, you can argue whether or not that was wrong. This guy would not have been such a danger. How many firearms did he have? 2 pistols and 16 illegally large capacity gun magazines. Okay, the police seized them and the loaded gun. Francis told them her husband also owned long guns, which weren't in the house. She didn't know where they were. So they arrested him, charged of owning illegal gun magazines, various domestic violence offenses, released, not supposed to have any contact with his wife. Judge wanted him monitored, mental health, alcohol, ordered him, give up all your guns. None were turned in. He went to the home, unlocked the back door, left his key in the lock, went looking for the wife, got him to fight with the wife, shot her with a shotgun. Hopping to police, state police searched all night for Francis, putting out an alert other law enforcement agencies. And he was driving the black Chevrolet Suburban, Route 78, 11 o'clock last Saturday. Sped away, he was going extremely, 120 miles an hour. Then he was going up Route 2 in Charlestown. He missed the turn at the intersection, shot across the northbound lane, rolled up to rest on its roof. Police from Charlestown, Richmond waited for backup. When they did approach, they found him dead. He died from a shotgun blast to his mouth area. At the Wood River Bar and Grill, Carrie Church heard the wail of sirens. Another server opening the restaurant for the day. I said to the other girl, what the hell's going on? They were also wondering why a fellow server, Stephanie Francis, didn't show up to work. So she worked at the Wood River Bar and Grill. She came there, started working there about 6 months ago. Stay-at-home mother for 2, looking for work. She didn't have experience, good feeling about her. Quiet at first, warmed up, got to know people. Quick to do anything that was needed. And then, of course, then they found out. I'll just say this, and I get it, but Frank Secoshio, this was a situation, this individual should not, Frank Secoshio, Rhode Island president lobbyist, Rhode Island Second Amendment Coalition. He's always at the State House. I always support that group. But this guy shouldn't have had access to weapons, period. End of story. If you hadn't intervened, he wouldn't have been able to have them and buy them. The least you could do is offer a comment. We move on, because I do want to talk about Biden and the bridge. Folks, there are certain people, look at the damage this guy did. He wouldn't have been able to do it. I recognize you can do something with a knife. He didn't use a knife. I recognize you can. We saw in Woonsocket can use a vehicle as a weapon. That's not what happened here. So my experience with law enforcement is they're not looking to take weapons away from law-abiding individuals. This guy wasn't one of them. There were a lot of red flags with this guy. Just don't help him out. That's all I'm saying. And Frank Secoshio did. Folks, this portion of the program is brought to you by AJ Drywall Plasters Home Improvement. Call them today, 401 323-9252. 401-323-9252. AJ Drywall Plasters Home Improvement. Frame to finish basements, acoustical ceilings. If you have an unfinished basement or garage, doesn't have to be that way. Not if you call AJ Drywall Plasters Home Improvement. Free quote. If you're thinking of having some work done, home or business, call AJ Drywall Plasters and Home Improvement today. 401-323-9252. Maybe it's just painting inside your home. Maybe it is a matter of you want to improve the look of your business or commercial building. They can do it all. Or maybe you do have an unfinished basement or garage. AJ Drywall Plasters Home Improvement. 401-323-9252. And as I have mentioned, the work they do in acoustical ceilings is really amazing. It's AJ Drywall Plasters Home Improvement. Now, I also did receive a message from Anthony, who said he has some time off in August and he'd like to do something different with himself and his two sons, kind of like a boys' trip, and asked me, what is this trip that he heard me mention? And Anthony, you want to? It's the Alan Hochman Tour presents Red Sox Baltimore in Baltimore. And so it's a great road trip. It's happening August 16th through the 18th. Round trip motor coach transportation. So you leave from Rhode Island, drive down there. It's very enjoyable. You know, stop and use the facilities, get something, and so forth. Tickets in the all-you-can-eat suite. Tickets in the Saturday game at 7 o'clock. 2 nights at the Marriott Sheraton, Marriott Inner at Harbor, which I've been to and stayed. I've been on this trip. It's a great trip. Alan runs a great trip, and it's a very nice group that goes on this trip. Now, but it's not going to last. They only have a few seats left. Call 401-274-TRIP. Alan Hochman Tours online, 274trip.com. 401-274-TRIP or online, 274trip.com. Road trip, Red Sox Baltimore, August 16th through the 18th. And I assure you, Anthony, that yourself and your children, these are very memorable adventures. Any trip that I've been on with Alan Hochman, I can, recite. We did, Red Sox Mets. We did the Red Sox Orioles. A number of different trips. So it's very memorable, and it sounds like something it could turn into a nice memory for you and your two sons. Folks, anyone can go, as a matter of fact. Alan Hochman Tours, it is a terrific trip. Now, at 12:24 on this Friday, now what is playing out right now, folks, good afternoon. You're listening. This is the Real News at Noon. It's the John DePietro Show. It's AM 1380, 99.9 FM. Now, you can listen online. That's true. At the website, depetro.com. Obviously, we simulcast on Facebook, and now we're also on X and on YouTube. It's the Real News at Noon. Now, this situation with President Biden, I find it obviously, like I think many of you, it's wildly entertaining. They don't have a plan. This whole thing it's actually, it's a real disaster. And there's no easy way in or out of this. There's no easy way in or out of this. I do find it interesting, by the way, that Joe Scarborough had echoed something that I have said, which is the Bidens and the Obamas are not as tight as people think. And the news that President Obama knew that George Clooney was going to write that op-ed and didn't tell him not to and didn't talk him out of it, I think that speaks volumes. But last night was President Biden great. That was long. They shouldn't have done it so late. Keep in mind, that press briefing was supposed to be 5:30. Then it became 6:30. And then, as you know, it started before 7:30, right before 7:30. So you would have thought it had been earlier in the day. They designed it around the NATO conference because regardless of what you think of President Biden, something he was known for in the Senate. The reason why President Obama picked him to be part of the ticket for 08 was because of his experience in foreign policy. And that's one of the reasons when you would see at the time for I don't know how long, into the 90s and early 2000s, whenever then Senator Biden would be on Meet the Press or one of the Sunday shows, it was always to discuss foreign policy. So it was chosen last night. And what you saw last night, again, I'm not going to argue that it was great. And I know the media now is picking up on all the flubs, right? I mean, I watched it live as he said, and now everybody, President Putin. I mean, that was funny. The whole thing about President Trump as the vice president, I don't know. There was actually something comical about that, but it wasn't the debate. So they're not giving up. Someone texted me before the press conference, said, "Do you think at the press conference is going to announce that he's leaving?" I don't know how well, they're not leaving. They're not leaving. And I'll say this about Biden. It is true in 88, he kicked the tires on a presidential run and then the plagiarism sidelined him. In 2016, he wanted to run for president. And then Obama kicked him to the curb in favor of Hillary. But some things about President Biden, you have to look at the inner circle. He never lost a race for the Senate. Never lost in a race for the Senate. In 2008, he was on the ticket with Obama. Boom, they won. 2012, re-election. Boom, they won. Obama made him sit out. 2016 for Hillary. And then in 2020, he runs and wins. He doesn't lose. So, there's part of this. Now, again, he would not get my vote. And he shouldn't be there. And they were hiding him and shielding him. And that's why the Democrat Party is upset. And that's why the press is upset. But if you're part of Team Biden, I mean, Kamala Harris ran for president in 2020 and lost. And she has not been a good vice president. So some of the people that are basically saying that they should be here, if you're part of Team Biden, why should we give up the power? Now, again, when I'm saying this, I'm not talking about if you're a Trump supporter. I'm talking about you just have to kind of, if you can, step back. Why would he give up the power? I'm not saying he should be there. And I agree. Listen, he can't do 4 more years. He shouldn't be the president now. But if you pull back from that and you're his staff, why would you're not just going to hand over the keys? I want to find, because I think I've talked about this, because I had heard about this from someone in Rhode Island that knows President Biden pretty well. And with all the people saying, President Obama runs the White House, then they're going to tell him to step aside, and then Michelle's going to be named and so forth. That just didn't square with what I had heard some time ago, which was that there was bad blood between Joe Biden, and the Obamas. And it came down to the fact that, I mean, that was kind of a funny line last night, as much as
his ability to beat Donald Trump if she were at the top of the ticket.
Look, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she's not qualified to be president. So let's start there. Number one.
I mean, there is something about that is kind of comical. So, Vice President.
Vice President, but I think she's not qualified to be president. I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president.
There's something about that. I'm also saying, this is Jeff Vaughn. A friend of mine attended the Hollywood fundraiser of President Biden. He said, Biden referred to former President Obama as his black VP numerous times, once calling himself the first black vice president. The guy said, I knew the debate was going to be bad. I don't think there's audio of that. Where Biden, it's just a video of them walking off stage. And then there's also a part where then they edited a radio interview. This is the part I want to, because I have heard this, and I'm not a fan of. I think the Joe Scarborough Morning Joe show, I think it's a mess. I do flip to it in the morning, but to me the problem is Scarborough and Mika. But he's echoing something that I had heard from someone that knew Biden really well.
Down upon him.
Here we go.
And this is the reality. Jonathan O'Meara, Joe Biden is deeply resentful of his treatment under not only the Obama staff, but also the way he was pushed aside for Hillary Clinton. He's deeply resentful of those trying to shove him out of the way. He's always felt like an outsider, always felt like people have looked down upon him. And that's why I said at the top of the show, when people... I know that.
You know, in other words, he's not leaving. They're not leaving. I want to be very clear. When I say that he's not leaving, and sometimes I have to explain this to people, I'm not saying that he shouldn't leave. I'm just saying the president and the first lady, and by the way, one of the inner circle of his staff is from Rhode Island and is in fact is one of his inner circle is Donlin, who went to LaSalle and so forth. But they're not. It's not easy for people that have been in power to give up the power. He's not caving. And I don't know where this leads. I mean, let's look at the calendar right now on this Friday, July 12th. And folks, again, good afternoon. You're listening to the John DePetro Show. I want to reiterate, and I shouldn't have to, but this almost starts to fall into the category of if someone were to ask me, do you think the Patriots are going to beat the Buffalo Bills this Sunday? And I say, I don't think so. Not with Mac Jones as quarterback and not with Josh Allen and the way the Bills are playing. And then sometimes a Patriot fan will say, oh, so you want Buffalo to win. I'm not saying I want Buffalo to win. You asked me who I think is going to win. I'm not saying Biden shouldn't leave. I'm saying I don't think he's going to leave. If you saw last night, he's not leaving. Let's look at the calendar. I'm not breaking any news, by the way. Today's Friday, July 12th. Now, the Republican convention kicks off Monday. Very happy. Kate DePetro leaves tomorrow for Wisconsin. She'll be there for the week, fully credentialed with Fox. We'll get some good inside info from her. So next week, by the way, anytime between now and Monday, they expect President Trump's going to announce his VP candidate. And it seems to be down to, now I've talked about this at length with Donna Perry. I thought it might be Elise Stefanik, the only female supposedly being considered. It seems as though, if we're to believe the big three are Senator Marco Rubio of Florida, which I think is a little odd because both he and Trump would then be from Florida, but Trump could then, he also has New York residents and New Jersey residents, but the governor of North Dakota, and then also J.D. Vance. If we to believe the three of them, unless there's some unforeseen circumstance, I think J.D. Vance is the pick. He's a younger guy. He's got military experience. Some people were saying, I don't know, he's got a beard, as if that's a bad thing. And supposedly President Trump said, well, Abe Lincoln had a beard. But let's just look at the calendar. So the Republican convention starts Monday, and then you have the week, then it's it ends next Thursday. So then you have next week, then you have the remaining part of July, and then on the 19th is the Democrat convention. So the days start to tick down. I think the big question, it sounds like the Bidens are just trying to run out the clock, because now next week, all focus, one would think, would be on the Republican convention, and they want the press to focus on that. They're trying to shift the press focus off of them and onto President Trump, who they can't stand and feel, that they can't afford to have him become president again. But after next week, the clock really starts to tick down, because then you really have just, that week of the 22nd of July, then the 29th, and then Thursday is August 1st. Then you have the week of the 5th and the 12th, and then boom, the 19th is the convention. So the next couple of weeks are crucial. Last night, and other people I think have said it, but it is kind of, to me, it's a little bit like purgatory. If those that want President Biden to remain on the ticket, he didn't, some people were saying he needed to do a face plant or a total meltdown, and then they'd even have to have him removed. Now, make no mistake, he wasn't great, but he's kind of like what you'd expect. He wasn't as bad as the debate. I think a president should be sharper and better. I don't think he's physically or mentally up to it. However, he didn't do enough to make people say, "Oh, he's got to leave." So, in essence, they have a real problem on their hands, because he's not going anywhere. I think that if anything is clear, he and the First Lady, his inner circle, chief of staff, they feel they can power through. They feel, and by the way, folks, it's expected this could turn into a landslide. It's not just yet. So my point is, if you're Harris or some of these other people, George Clooney, telling him to get out of the race, right now, he has just as much of a chance as Harris does. I think she has her own liabilities, and she's untested. So, again, my vote is already decided, obviously, like many of you. But I just don't think they're going to get him out of the race. Last night, he was laughing it off. And there is part of this that I like. He just waves them off. Like, no, what? I'm fine. I mean, he's not fine, and he shouldn't be the president. Of course, he shouldn't do another term. But there's a comical element to this that he just dismisses them. He's got the power right now. He's got the power. If he doesn't want to meet with people, he doesn't meet with people. Folks, this portion of the program, and I want to repeat, I had Carl contacted me. Carl apparently has some foot problems. I'm not trying to be too graphic here, but he did send me an email, and it has completely cut down his quality of life. So he heard me talking about someone that I would recommend for that. And I don't know specifically what Carl's problems are, but I'll tell you this, folks. If you're listening or watching right now and you do have a problem with your foot or ankle, contact Greenville Foot and Ankle Specialists right in the Smithfield Medical Center, Route 5 in Smithfield. State-of-the-art facility. Now, you can call. Beautiful building, by the way. Plenty of parking. 3 doctors, all board-certified podiatrists available to see you. They make same-day or next-day appointments. They take all health insurance, and that's big. And many of their patients walk out that day feeling better. Call, set up an appointment. Greenville Foot and Ankle Specialist, 401-949-3220. 401-949-3220. They perform all aspects of foot care, skin conditions, bunions, hammer toe. They treat injuries like fractures and sprain. They have a digital x-ray on site, quick diagnosis. They can begin treatment immediately, save time, avoid the ER, or avoid especially these pop-up shops or kiosks, these stores that are opening that you go in and there's a young clerk there and they want to sell you very expensive inserts for your shoes or sneakers. You want to deal with Greenville Foot and Ankle Specialists. Call and make your appointment today. 401-949-3220. I couldn't afford to have foot trouble. I couldn't. I wouldn't be able to do everything. I mean, right now, I generally run 7 to 8 miles a day because I'm so active with all the crime scenes and so forth. I wouldn't be able to do that. And I have had foot trouble in the past, by the way, and it kills everything. 401-949-3220. I think Carl mentioned he used to enjoy walking the golf course. And then because of foot trouble, now he has to take the cart. He doesn't like taking the cart. He liked the exercise of walking. Carl, call them, book an appointment, 401-949-3220. Now, I will talk about the bridge, but I also want to respond to, let's see, Kevin. Kevin sent me an email. Juan, love the program, love Road Patrol. Okay. Who is it that could pave my driveway? I want to pave my driveway, and I'd like to also, my dad's a veteran, and I'd like to get his driveway paved. Kevin, contact J. Perry Paving, 401-732-1730. Free quote, letter J, J. Perry Paving. High quality, fair pricing, exceptional service. It's not even close. They're the best. Letter J, J. Perry Paving. Free estimate, and they have the best package for a veteran. So for your dad or for your mom or whoever it is that's the veteran, grandmother, grandfather, boyfriend, girlfriend, letter J, J. Perry Paving. If you're thinking about getting your driveway paved or patio or parking lot, high quality, fair pricing, free estimate, 401-732-1730. Now remember, with J. Perry Paving, this isn't their first big job or whatever. This isn't their first rodeo. So what does that mean? Well, it means they're licensed and insured, no matter how big, how small. Maybe it's a new project. Maybe it's just a patch job. They could do it. 401-732-1730. So what is the Democrat Party going to, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't think they know what they're going to do. I heard a really interesting rumor last night. I'm going to let it play out a little bit. But I think now look at this. There's a poll that just came out. Biden 50, Trump 48. Marist poll. Contest for president still up for grabs. Now, people can say they don't believe the polls. I'm not here to argue about whether or not. I'm just passing that along. Joe opens two-front fight and bid to re-election. Rosie O'Donnell, time to pass the torch. President calls Zelensky Putin. He calls Kamala Trump. Is this the end or just the beginning? Donors on pause. But look at stocks hit more record highs. Clyburn opens the door for change. Newsom, I'm all in for Joe. Safe blue states turning purple. Jill's grudge against Kamala. I've heard about that. See, Jill Biden is a pivotal player here. Peggy Noonan, Dems should embrace the chaos. Americans worried about Reagan's age. Milwaukee gets ready for the Don's visit. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the answer is. They don't know what the answer is, by the way. They don't know what the answer is. Embrace the chaos. I think that's interesting. I think the Jill Biden angle, as I've said, they're not. I think so Biden forcefully declares he's staying in re-election race. Hey, in the Channel 12 recent poll, they had Biden up only 7 points in Rhode Island to President Trump. It could be even closer. So maybe it is, in fact, even closer than we believe, as a matter of fact. So maybe, in fact, maybe that would be ironic on just, but remember, it's all about winning. It's not even being close, as they say. It's about whether or not they can actually pull it off. So, all right, I want to talk about the bridge for just a moment because, and I want to credit Channel 12, and you heard Governor McKee the other day at his ridiculous press briefing take a shot at Tim White. I think the Channel 12 reporting on the bridge, I think it's been very good. They certainly have the numbers. But folks, I want to remind you, if you're thinking of getting a new roof, you know what I'm going to say, Royal Exteriors. Call them today. They're right in Johnston, 401-533-9989. Call Andrew. Remember, Royal Exteriors, where the customer is always king or queen. Royal Exteriors, online, royalexteriorsri.com. Look for them on Facebook. Royal Exteriors, for your home or business, get a free quote, especially more heavy rain is expected over the course of the weekend. If you're having a problem with your roof, maybe it's time for a new roof. Maybe your roof just isn't working properly. But a problem for your roof creates problems all throughout your home. Royal Exteriors, whether it's roofing or siding, home exterior remodeling, their reviews are fantastic with Royal Exteriors. Again, call today for your home or business. Get a free quote, Royal Exteriors. And I love their logo where the customer is always king or queen. 401-533-9989. They're located right in Johnston. Andrew is personable. You deal directly with the owner. He is knowledgeable. He is personable. If you're listening or watching on this Friday and you're thinking of getting, maybe it is time for a new roof. Maybe it's not. Call him and get him in the mix. 401-533-9989 for Royal Exteriors. Now, as far as I feel bad for not only the people in the East Bay, but I feel bad for all of us. Channel 12 reporting, spending tied to Washington Bridge failure tops $22 million before the demo and rebuild. Channel 12, Rhode Islanders are in the dark how much it'll cost to rebuild the failed Washington Bridge because no one wanted to bid on it. Because make no mistake, no one wants to be part of the pay to play. I'll give Governor McKee credit on this. He definitely has the station down the dial with his pal Pork Boy, and they have everyone else bought off. And he also has Channel 10 compromised. Channel 12 is not compromised. It will. We're in the dark how much it's going to cost to rebuild. The price before demolition has already ballooned to $23 million and counting. No one submitted on the bid to rebuild the bridge. Listen, it has all of this. You're going to use McKee Consultants. It has money over here. It's a pay-to-play scheme. Keep in mind also, Governor McKee is still under an FBI probe. If you're going to get involved, you have to wonder, do I really want to deal with someone who's currently being investigated by the FBI? And a lot of companies obviously clearly don't want to be part of anything like that. So DOT, they don't know what it is. Governor McKee, we're going to know what the timeline is when we get the timeline. Yeah, because that makes a lot of sense. I mean, this is such a clown operation. The final determination of the cost will be when the bids come in, as opposed to what? The failed bid process came with a cost. So do you know the state spent $400,000 on the unsuccessful request for the proposal? So that's $400,000 down the drain. That's only a small sliver of the $23 million spending costs related to the closure of the bridge. Listen, he's another one. He shouldn't be he shouldn't even be the governor right now. A Target 12 analysis of the report shows more than half of the emergency spending, $13 million, almost $14 million, has been spent on construction costs. Shutting down reconfiguring traffic, along with shoring up the westbound lane in preparation of demo. Rhode Island spent $2.3 million on an early idea for traffic mitigation, abandoned ferry people. $2.3 million. The idea didn't draw much interest. It cost taxpayers $145 per passenger. Over the past 7 months, the state also spent $2.2 million on bridge inspections, $1.4 million for police and fire overtime costs, and $1 million to keep tow trucks on standby to quickly respond to crashes and breakdowns. Another $2 million paying state transportation staff and others miscellaneous cost. What does that even mean? Ridiculous. $23 million. They haven't even done anything yet. Folks, listen, this is not just affecting East Bay. I admit I have selfish reasons why I would like it straightened out, and that is because those of you that watch Road Patrol at night, we have basically had to tremendously limit or abandon the idea of traveling if there's some problem in East Providence because of the bridge, because then you don't want to get stuck there and the amount of time that it takes if you just venture to that area. But the bottom line, I believe the Republican Party needs to keep the pressure on McKee. The Republican Party, this election in the fall, should, on the East Bay, should all be about the bridge. What have they been doing? I also want to mention Governor McKee keeps talking about, well, December 11th, we took action. December 11th is when this started. That is a false narrative put out by the McKee administration. He was governor before that. He was in charge before that. 1 year ago at this time, July of 23, 1 year ago, that bridge was given full seal of approval. So what happened between July and December 11th? McKee was the governor then. Governor McKee took over for now Commerce Secretary, but then Governor Gina Raimondo in March of 21. Why does he just keep saying on December 11th? McKee was in charge. Just do the math. From March of 21 to March 22, that's a year. March of 22 to 23, that's 2 years. He was governor for almost 3 full years in charge of the bridge. What was he doing the entire time? Why did he allow the bridge to fall into that type of shape? And keep in mind, as Ken Block has said, not one person has lost their job at DOT. Not one person has been suspended. Not one person has been on leave. They're not trying. They have no interest in getting to the root of what caused this. The McKee administration, the only element of this that they're interested in trying to do is just keep the money flowing in. And they're being aided by the station down the dial, radio station down the dial, and by Channel 10, by allowing him to skirt any type of responsibility to tough questions. Now, folks, this portion of the program, I received an email from Nicole, and Nicole is thinking of having a fence put up in her yard and asked me, who is the company that I recommend? Nicole, call FenceRI.com. FenceRI.com. Nicole lives in Lincoln. They're getting a dog. They want to have a fence put up in their backyard. FenceRI.com. Call them 401-732-0555. 401-732-0555. FenceRI.com. Online at FenceRI.com. You can also look for them on Facebook. Remember, they're the premier fence and deck contractor. Nicole, if you mention the John DePetro Show, $200 off, wood deck construction, licensed and insured, 5-star rating on Google. They're the real deal. And on top of that, whether it's for pet fencing or pool fencing, maybe you just want more privacy for your home or your business, FenceRI.com. FenceRI.com. And on top of that, one of the partners here is also a veteran, which is always important. FenceRI.com. Call them today. Get a quote, 401-732-0555. As you're listening on this Friday, maybe you've been thinking, I'd like to have a fence. I don't like having my neighbors looking at me every time I go in my backyard or front yard. And it's amazing the work they can do. FenceRI.com. Call them 401-732-0555. The premier fence and deck contractor. FenceRI.com. Well, folks, good afternoon. You're listening to the John DePetro Show. It's AM 1380 and 99.9 FM. I want to just reiterate. This Biden story, it's comical to me. The White House has been hiding him. That was his first press conference of the year, was last night. And he didn't do the Super Bowl interview, which seemed odd at the time. The last time President Biden did a press conference like that was November. Now, in hindsight, last night, that was a 59-minute press conference. Didn't have to go that long. Where the White House is really, they've hurt themselves, because you have the members of the Democrat Party, they feel that they were misled. And then you have the press that definitely feels they were misled. But all they had to do was think of that. If once a month They had him walk into the White House press briefing, unannounced even, and took questions for 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Number one, you get rusty if you haven't done it, number one. Number two, you would have been able to, tell just how he's doing. Like, they didn't do any favors by trying to hide him from everyone. But now they can't hide him. Now also, who sent me that email? That was from Brenda. Brenda's thinking of getting a new kitchen. One, who is the person you recommend for a new kitchen? Brenda, you want to contact Dreammaker Bath and Kitchen. Call them today, 401-433-7272. They have a beautiful design center right near Crown Plaza on Greenwich Avenue in Warwick. Dreammaker Bath and Kitchen, one-stop shop. They take you from concept to completion. Dreammaker. Remember their three important ingredients: respect, integrity, and customer focus. And when I share their Facebook page, they take you from dreams to reality. And I always say to people, that could be your bathroom or kitchen as you're getting up during the day. Dreammaker. Give them a chance to pitch your business. Dreammaker. And again, beautiful state-of-the-art design center right there, Greenwich Avenue in Warwick. Well, folks, good afternoon. You're listening to the John DePietro Show. I don't know what's going to happen next week, and the Democrat Party doesn't know what's going to happen next week. But one thing we know, and that is that the Bidens are not going quietly. He's not leaving, and I don't think they're not giving him all the information. But he is absolutely in the bunker. He is not. He and the First Lady, they are in no way ready to call it a day and just disappear. All right, on this Friday, let's see if we can reach our friend Marie at It's My Health, 1099 Mendon Road in Cumberland, right in that historic white church. Folks, there she is on this Friday. It is the Queen of Health. Good afternoon, Marie.
Good afternoon, John.
Well, Marie, with all of this, the weather, again, it's overcast. We got some more rain. A lot of people are complaining about some of the different aches and pains that they have. I'm willing to bet It's My Health, 1099 Mendon Road in Cumberland, you have some products that could alleviate that.
We certainly do. We have CBD products with gummies right now as well. Lots of choices and flavors. And then we do have arnica. We do have curcumin, which is the active ingredient of turmeric. We have boswellia. We have a number of things that can help with pain and discomfort.
And Marie, what about people staying hydrated or maybe even just enjoying some nice iced tea on this during the summer?
Oh, we have tons of teas and herbs that are in bulk or in bags, and you can make any number of combinations of teas for the summer. You can, hot isn't great right now, but you can make iced teas for them. And we do have some electrolyte powders and liquids that you can just add to your water as well.
Folks, it's Marie at It's My Health, 1099 Mendon Road in Cumberland. Marie, what are your hours today? What are your hours tomorrow?
Be here till 5:30 today and tomorrow from 9 to 4.
You're the Queen of Health. Keep up the good work, and we will talk to you next week. Folks, again, we have another full hour to go. Here's what we're going to do. Road Patrol later. Yes, we're going to break for the 1 o'clock news. The radio show continues after the 1 o'clock news. Again, you're listening to the John DePietro Show.